Good evening. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones. Council meetings are live streamed on the city's YouTube channel. I now call the December 16th, 2025 regular council meeting to order. Please note that Councilor Sweeney is joining the meeting remotely. The chair would entertain a motion to, by consent minute action, excuse the absence of Councilor Pollock. Moved by Councilor Bond, seconded by Councilor Haskins. Please cast your vote. Councilor Sweeney, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the consent minute, approve of titles. Oh, geez. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thanks, Vice Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. See, jinx myself.
Yes.
Please read the consent minute, approval titles.
Approving the minutes of the November 18th, 2025 regular council meeting, the November 18th, 2025 executive session, the December 2nd, 2025 regular council meeting, the December 2nd, 2025 executive session, the December 9th, 2025 special council meeting, and the December 9th, 2025 executive session.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action agenda items just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Bond. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Councilor Sweeney, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the December 16, 2025 by Interim City Manager Lopez. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Gamroth. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Councilor Sweeney, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Now is the time that we invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak with the council to come forward. This portion of the meeting is dedicated to the public to allow them time to discuss matters of public interest and to voice any concerns. We ask that you please state your name, direct all questions and comments to the mayor. No personal obscenities or threats will be tolerated. Council will not respond to any personnel matters. Those will all be referred to our city manager. Councilors may ask clarifying questions, but if they choose to respond to matters, they will do so during the scheduled council response time following communications from persons present. As always, presentations are limited to 5 minutes and there are no time extensions permitted. And please note public hearings and ordinance each have their own comment periods. Good evening, Mr. Schriffman.
Good evening, Mayor. How's everybody doing tonight? The last meeting, I had asked some questions concerning the rental for the ice arena for the Warbirds through Blade Edge Ventures. And I did get documents through public records. There was no gap. Looking at the invoices and the dates due and the payment dates, in the early part of this year, they were pretty much on time. But then on March 20th, a bill due on 4/19 wasn't paid until August 1st. And then there was another one, 4/15, due on 5/15, that was also paid on August 1st. Recently, they just paid the bill due on 9/18. So concern is that the agreement, I also have the agreement, Section 4, paragraph 3 says, tenant's failure to pay the owner by the above described rent on or before the 15th of the month of this agreement shall be considered a default by the tenant of the terms. And I hope that going forward, we don't have the problem, because this is also taxpayer money that supports the ice arena. In the private sector, if you don't pay your rent after 3 months, you usually get thrown out. You don't pay your mortgage within 3 months, you might face default. And as an insurance agent, I'm constantly on the phone with clients approaching their usual 30-day grace period. And if they don't pay by that date, their coverage lapses and they lose their coverage. The other issue is tonight you're going to be voting on increasing the utility rates, especially on water and sewer. Water's going up 8% for next year and 8% for the year after. Sewer's going up 34% for next year and 18%. In the work session last week, it seemed to me that the main issue is deferred maintenance on equipment that's older. Pipes are rotting out, need to be replaced. Deferred means that this is not that just happened, but a multiple year problem. And infrastructure is a primary responsibility. And concern is that, you know, we have a lot of wonderful activities, which are council calls amenities in our community, and they're subsidized. The losses, the operating losses are subsidized by the taxpayers. And we really need to focus on making sure that if people are having fun, but the sewers aren't running properly, or the water's not running properly, we got a problem. So I know you're going to be addressing that in the resolution section tonight. And I'll answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Schriftman?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
you. Appreciate it, Ross.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Council. I'm here to see if we can extend the bus route on 2nd Street to at least Rocky Mountain Oncology. It came to my knowledge about 2 weeks ago that there's a veteran that rides the bus. He rides as far as Coles, then he walks 3/4 of a mile to get to the clinic, and then 3/4 of a mile back. We got sidewalks in front of the bank and sidewalks in front of Elkhorn. And on that route, that extra 1.5 mile route, there's Rocky Mountain Oncology, Elkhorn, Summit Hospital, and the other hospital. There's Premier Pain and Joint, InReach Therapy. There's a lot of health clinics along there that could use, the bus route. And another question for you is if we could get it so the veterans don't have to pay, if they could go to the Caskey office with their TD Form 214 and get a bus pass. So I don't know how many ride the bus, but there might be more if they had a chance to do it and it took them all the way to the clinic. Any other questions from you?
Questions?
It's a total of 1.25 miles all the way to Rocky Mountain Oncology. That's the total.
Okay.
And then,
Without the sidewalks there, they have to walk in the street.
yeah, there's,
So it's hazardous for the citizens, not just veterans, but citizens.
Okay.
That have to go to oncology.
yeah, they'd have to walk all the way up to Fire Rock to cross legally. Otherwise, they're crossing 4 lanes of traffic. I know I couldn't cross it very fast.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Any questions? So stick around because we'll have comments after, so we can talk a little bit about that.
All right.
So stick around.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, gentlemen. Any others who wish to speak?
Evening.
Hi, Tom.
I'm Tom Morton. I live at 353 South McKinley, and I'd like to bring something to your attention, and I have a question that I don't know quite what to do with. In August of 2023, I published a story for K2 Radio entitled "The Fall of the House on Thorndike." Sean Johnson, who used to be a council member, and his wife bought the house at an auction in February of 2023. It looked perfect to them and then for their family. But by December, there were problems starting, including their daughter, who'd never really had any health problems, had to be hospitalized for asthma. And over the course of the year, they found a huge mold infestation and that was crumbling. The floor in the kitchen was about to just fall through. The house had been purchased by a guy who hired somebody who did not register with the city to do, the fix-up stuff. And actually, I wound up getting in there. It was the first time I wore a hazmat suit. And so the Johnsons had to move out. They lost everything that they had because their personal possessions in the house were infected and so forth. And so I think it was Keith Goodenough brought it up, as well as Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, that according to Zillow, the house is now going to be auctioned sometime in the near future. And that I could not figure out, poking around, who exactly was doing the auctioneering, nor who it was being auctioned for. If you go look at the story, again, it's Fall of the House on Thorndike. I was playing Edgar Allan Poe briefly on that one. And so this is what I saw in August of 2023. I can only imagine that it's gotten worse since then. Zillow says its estimated market price is $320,000. If that's true, I got a box at home I'll sell you for $20,000. And so part of the rules of this auction thing is that prospective buyers can't even get inside to look at it, which boggles my mind. So my question for you, city, is can this building be condemned? Because somebody out there somewhere is going to look at this and say, however the house auction thing works, and they get it for $150,000, and hot damn, we're going to Casper and we're going to have a good life. And they're going to wind up losing what the Johnsons did. I also wonder about the how this thing will affect property values. I mean, it is, I remember, I think Rebecca Johnson told me that to fix this thing would cost $500,000. So I am wondering, I don't know how this is done, but what's involved in getting a house condemned, because this is a public threat. And so that's my question.
Any questions for Mr. Morton? So Tom, if you stick around, we'll have some answers for you, hopefully.
Sure.
You bet. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak to council? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. David Lewis here, reside at 3841 East 15th Street, number 630. This is about, well, I left town for work and been gone for like 8 years and come back, but the road infrastructure in town is terrible. I've been in many states and cities working, and their road infrastructure is just so well compared to here. The revenue that comes in here versus what's spent out on roads. I had a $2,500 repair bill for my front end from hitting potholes, and professionally done. I could do it myself, but I had someone do it. And, there's machinery out there that can fix the potholes instantly instead of, fixing them like in the 50s. They have these machines that will eat out the repair and instantly put in a asphalt patch, and it's done. But now you're still trying to do the road repairs from the 1950s, which just doesn't cut it. And yeah, I just think that the city ought to fix the road holes and stuff. When I left 10 years ago, they were still working on Outer Drive, and I mean I-25 there, but no, I don't know. Does anybody think that I'm talking wrong?
So this section here, Dave, is that we'll kind of, if there's questions, and then we'll respond here in a little bit.
Okay.
So, but does anybody have any questions for Mr. Lewis?
Okay.
Great. It's good to see you, Dave. Anybody else? Representative, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name's Tony Locke. I'm a City of Casper resident, and I'm here speaking on my behalf as well as several people who've reached out to me, fellow citizens here in Casper. And this is related to the increases in the utility rates that have been proposed and that you guys will hear in the resolutions coming up. I just want to push back on that a little bit and ask the commission or the commission here to please think about this very carefully before we hit the citizens with these high rates. We all know they've been hit with rates from every possible perspective. We're hitting people that are already experiencing all this inflation. We've done our best in many areas to try to put money back in their pocket, and I'd like this city council please consider looking at other alternatives to try to keep those rates in check. I understand rates have to go up. We understand maintenance has to occur. There's no question about that. The only point I'd like to make to the council here today, or Mr. Mayor, is the fact that it's one thing if you have 2%, 4%, 5% increases over the years, which you guys have had on the utilities to the people. There's no doubt those have happened and those have occurred. It's entirely another when we start seeing 50% over 2 years or even 24% over 3 years as some of these rates are planned to increase. Though it could be argued that, it's one thing, again, seeing that 3 to 5%, it's entirely when you see the 50% or the 20%, and then you hear the terms deferred maintenance, one might argue that refers to those two things come together as we spend our money badly, okay? And so I'd like you to consider, please, looking at other alternatives. The proper role of government is infrastructure, no question, that's what this is. It absolutely is. But it also means that sometimes we have to look at our discretionary funding and say, where do we redirect other discretionary funds to make sure we do that? And the numbers I want to throw out tonight are these. And these are just simple, full, top-end budget that came right straight out of the audit reports out of the state. Between 2021 and 2025, and I didn't look at your current budget in any detail, but between those timeframes, there's a $43 million budget change. There's an additional $43 million between those years. And that's on top of a budget that in 2021 was $144 million. So you're looking at about a 30% increase. So the question I ask the council, Mr. Mayor, is have you guys looked hard at that and said, where can we change the use of discretionary funds to make sure we fund the things that are the proper role of government? And that's infrastructure and public safety, okay? So again, it's one thing to see increases. We all understand stuff's going up. When we see increases this big, that screams mismanagement of money. That's what it screams. And that's what the people out there, at least constituents that have called me, that's their concern. So I wanted to bring that concern to you, Mr. Mayor, and the City Council, and ask you to consider that. I stand for questions, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Any question for Representative Locke? Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Representative.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for having me tonight. Jamie Lean, House District 38. I just want to take a moment and address some of the resolutions before you today. A couple of my constituents reached out from the county in concerns with bail fee increases because they don't get a vote. They don't get a vote for the council, and they don't get a vote for the mayor, and they don't get a vote when it comes to increases that they're paying for. And so I just want to spend a minute and just address that they are displeased with the amount of services that they're receiving when they are able to attend the bail fill for the money that they're paying. And so they don't feel like they're getting adequate services. To just be able to run to the dump once a month for them is not included in their water bills. Furthermore, we have fixed income residents that live within the city limits. And so I'm curious to know how we're supposed to help them offset their budgets. This comes with the elderly, the disabled, those that are out of work for a short period of time or a long period of time. On the top of page 2 of resolution 25301, which is the rates for water, it says unlike water distribution, which has sufficient reserves, you're in the sewer, excuse me, the sewer resolution. It says, unlike water distribution, which has sufficient reserves. So why are we increasing water rates if we have sufficient reserves in our water fund? Furthermore, we have pedestrian bridges that were brought before us and sold to us as a savings. We're going to take this money out of the water account because it's saving our citizens money, but now we're going to raise their rates. So I'm curious to know, could somebody please tell us what the increases are and how much we're saving by building those pedestrian bridges with the water lines running underneath them? Your 5-cent bonds. Further into this resolution, if you read, it says that the rate assumptions also reflect the end of 1-cent funding for sewer capital projects in fiscal year 28. And so I would just like to ask the city council to please be very true and impartial when you come to our voters in 2026 and ask them for that 5th penny bond to be renewed, that we are true and impartial and that the verbiage is very clear on where you intend to spend that money when it ends up in your general fund. Again, in this same resolution, we're going to talk about rate increases, not just right now, that give us 34% in 2026 and 18% in 2027, but then there's additional increases if you continue to read in there from 2028 to 2036 that are 15, 12, 8, 6, 6, 6, 4, and 4. When you add those all together, you get a 113% increase in 10 years. And so I'm curious to know where the city is getting that they need a 113% increase for a 10-year budget for our sewer rates. Those are my questions this evening. And again, we stand opposed to the rates. Not that we can't have a reflection of a moderate increase, but that these seem to be very substantial. And I am concerned for the constituents that are mine and yours, that 1, don't live in the city that are paying these additional rates, and 2, the ones that live in the city that are on fixed incomes and how this is going to reflect on their budgets. Thank you, council, for your time tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for Representative Lean? Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Lean. I believe that's the capacity in which you're speaking to us this evening. May I ask, I probably should have asked Mr. Locke as well, did you by chance watch our work session meeting last week on this topic?
Mr. Mayor, City Councilman, I did see a part of it, but I haven't had a chance to watch the entire thing. And I do realize that some of these increases are from the EPA regulations. I also know that the town of Bar None has chosen to not follow those EPA guidelines. And so I would be curious to know why a town 4 miles away is not following those guidelines and the city of Casper is opting to follow those guidelines at a massive rate increase to our citizens.
Thank you. That's the only question I have.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to come speak to council? Okay. I'd like to open it up now for councilors to briefly respond to any of the matters brought up. Councilor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks everyone for coming to speak tonight. Man, we haven't had a diverse gathering like that for like 6 different speakers, 6 different topics. So really appreciate folks coming out, spending their time with us and vocalizing their thoughts. I'm going to try to I have a little something to say about all of them, so I'm going to try to keep it all. I was trying to type my notes as furiously as possible. We'll see how far they got me. Dean, and I'm sorry, the other gentleman, I'm not Larry Seams. Appreciate you guys and your advocacy for the bus routes. We are unfortunately without Liz Becker this evening, who's kind of our guru regarding the transportation system. But my understanding is we've probably noted your questions, and we'll follow up with Liz and the transit team to see, you know, how realistic that is, how doable that is. Obviously, there's going to be budget constraints. We work with the Federal Transportation Administration very closely on any changes to routes and stuff. So I don't know how much bureaucratic red tape is involved there, but you bring up some good points, and we'll make sure that city staff vets them and comes back to us with some additional information so that we can make an informed decision on that. Wanted to thank Mr. Morton for your advocacy on that. I guess I'm also curious. I did see Rebecca and Sean posting those, and so I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. I would be curious what levers the city can pull, if any, on, I would not want another family to get strapped with something like that, and so I don't know what ability we have. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Should I be going through you, Mayor?
Either
I just
way,
want to make sure that
I'm
doesn't fall off the radar. So whatever follow-up looks like.
I'll start with the city manager, and then I'll come to you, Eric.
Mayor, Counselor, so we have a very structured process by which we determine unsafe structures and condemn buildings within the city. And so certainly I'm happy to engage with Liz and her team to identify, and I'm sure the city attorney can speak to that process more eloquently than I can.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. Very much similar to what our interim city manager had to say. We do have a very defined process. The city has adopted the Uniform Code for the Abatement of Dangerous Buildings. Our building official has the authority under this code to declare a building as dangerous. I've looked it up online. I've got the address. I will talk to our code enforcement team. If we have a reason to tag it, then we'll certainly work that angle. If staff feels we need more information, we have recourse to an administrative search warrant. So there's a couple different levers we can pull. Certainly happy to follow up on that tomorrow with staff. And Mayor, if I might make a comment on the transit issue, I just was looking, I know Liz is not here, and I'm happy to chat with her on that. We do have, just for the public's benefit, the link and the assist. And my understanding is with the assist, you can actually get a ride to a specific address if you reserve that in advance. So that may be something in the short term that these individuals, rather than having to walk that stretch, might be able to work with the assist. And then certainly it would be up to Liz to weigh in on whether we can change those routes. So
Great, thank you.
Thank you. To Mr. Locke's comments, I apologize. You made a few of them there, so I'm going to try to make sure I address them all. But sir, you brought up a change in our budget over the course of several years. It's something 5 years on my council I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but I do think rather than focusing on the overall budget, which includes our capital budget, which is very sensitive to the grants that we receive and rollovers, and there's a whole litany of things that go into the budget. And so I don't think it's probably the fairest assessment to look at the budget overall from year to year. What I think is most fair is to look at our general fund, which is our day-to-day operations. And Mr. Schriftman, we have the benefit of having in the audience as well. He had a town hall earlier this year, maybe, talking about the growth of our general fund. As a reminder, our general fund has increased 16% since 2019. Inflation over the same period is 30%. So if we're looking at our general fund, our day-to-day operations, yes, it has grown 16% since 2019, but it has not kept up with inflation. We actually have 15% or so less purchasing power than we had in 2019. And so while it's more money overall, the city does not operate in a vacuum. We succumb to the same inflationary pressures we as individuals do. And fact of the matter is things are much more expensive these days than they used to be. And so I'm pretty comfortable with the growth of the general fund over that time. Again, if you account for inflation, it's less than we had in 2019. And I know there's been concern to get to pre-COVID levels. We're pre-COVID levels. I don't think there's, if you have specific things, happy to follow up with you afterwards. But as far as the general fund is concerned, not much growth. I believe you and Ms. Lean both brought up the sewer fees, and I would strongly recommend that you watch our work session from last week because it has all the, these are complicated concepts and things that we're talking about, and I think you would benefit from the couple hours of conversation we had on this topic. You get a look at all the pro forma graphs. It's all very objective. It displays up on the TV, and everyone can see the same numbers that we're seeing and what those projections look like over time. I am also uncomfortable with the increases, and I voiced that at our council meeting last week. However, I do believe that our enterprise funds, which are the funds that manage our water, sewer, bale fill, solid waste funds, they do need to be self-sustaining. They were at one point self-sustaining, but over the course of time, the 1 cent revenue has subsidized it. My understanding is that began in the early 90s and has just been status quo since then. But $2.6 million in 1 cent revenues annually goes to water and sewer. For water, it's $2.25 million, I believe. And for sewer, it's $475,000, something along those lines. And so every year we give an infusion of 1 cent monies to it covers the capital project. Sorry, my city staff doesn't necessarily like the word subsidy, but as far as I'm concerned, that's what it is. It covers capital projects for those utilities that would otherwise have to be absorbed by the rates. And we've had the benefit in Casper of having visitors pay for some of those. So I do think they need to be self-sustaining. That is part of the reason for the increase, is to pull out that subsidy from the 1 cent and make those enterprise funds self-sustaining. That's one aspect of it. Deferred maintenance was brought up. This idea that the city hasn't been doing what it's supposed to over the years to catch up on maintenance, and I might agree with that to a certain extent. However, in regards to our sewer system, in the late 80s, there were projections that the city of Casper was going to grow to 300,000 people because of the oil boom, and they built the sewer infrastructure to accommodate for that. The unfortunate result, though, is that we never obviously got to 300,000 people. We're at sixth of that. We only have 60,000 people, and that sewer infrastructure is oversized. And as a result of it being oversized, the gases that build up in the sewer infrastructure corrode. You want to right size that infrastructure, because if it's too large, then the gases sit there and they corrode the interior. And that's what we're faced with is oversized sewer infrastructure built in the late 80s is now corroded to the point that it requires a lot of investment and repair. And so I think the city staff's been doing a really good job trying to tackle that. One of the things that came out of our conversation last week that I've been harping on my entire 5 years on council is this concept that our rates were currently based on a 300-year replacement schedule for sewer infrastructure. I've brought that up since my first year on council. I thought that was unrealistic, and it sounds like after doing our diligence and looking at governmental best practices, there's agreement that that's unrealistic, that we've been paying too little rates over the course of the past few decades. Our maintenance has been falling behind, and so this is an attempt to right size that. The maintenance schedule that was proposed in our meeting last week is a 100-year replacement schedule, which I think is much more realistic. The unfortunate reality of that is that we are having to catch up on those decades of deferred maintenance. It is a tough decision. It's not one that sits well with me. I totally understand the concerns about all of the financial pressures that we as individuals are under. I'm certainly under myself as somebody with chronic health conditions. The fact that my premiums are going up 50% this next year gives me a lot of concern. But I also did not serve on council to avoid controversy or make the easy decisions. My concern is that if we don't make these rate adjustments now, we're just kicking that can down the road for a future council to have an issue that's even compounded further. And that's irresponsible, in my opinion. And so that's why, while it's a tough decision, it's not one I make lightly, or any of us make lightly. We all pay water and sewer rates. I don't think anyone up here wants to pay more for it. But us having the luxury of having sat in on many of these conversations and having all the appropriate context and knowing what the result would be if we didn't make these rate adjustments, I think we all agree it would be irresponsible to make a future council, tackle this. And so I know, this isn't a great time to do it, but there's no saying that 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road, any of us are going to be any financially better off, and the issue will be even worse then. And so, really torn on it. It's one of the tougher decisions I've had to make probably on council, these significant rate increases. But we hear from many folks that I imagine are ideologically aligned with you, sir, that the 1 cent has been going towards things that it was not originally put in place for, and water and sewer subsidies is absolutely one of those things. And so happy to chat more offline, but I feel like I've monopolized the conversation enough at this point. I'll give the microphone to someone else. Thank you.
Anybody else? Did you say that? So I just wanted to speak to the bus route. We'll look into that and have a conversation with Liz Becker, who oversees that area, and then we'll get back with you guys. I think do we have your contact information? We do. Okay, perfect. So we will follow up with some information for you. Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Counselor.
Thank you, Mayor. So I totally ditto what Councilor Gamerath put forward. Very succinctly, very, very good. I'd like to follow up. One question was asked about the warbirds. So we had a lot of, quite honestly, public outcry on trying to keep not necessarily the warbirds here, but try to be cognizant of the players that are from all sorts of different places across the country, who have paid to be here to the previous owner. So trying to balance some of those things, I believe that the current owner has done a great job of trying to catch things up and keep the kids and the team on track. How that'll all end up, I'm not quite sure, but I know staff's done a great job of trying to balance everything in. And I believe that they are on track as far as payment, as far as I know. To the bus route, I think that we've got some good direction already from the city attorney, who will relate some things, but again, the lift and some of those assist absolutely should be checked into more, that could get them directly to the location, I believe, for those different appointments. Lastly, I'd just like to address back to Representative Locke and Representative Lean's comments. I think I don't disagree that these rates are pretty substantial increases, especially over the next several years to get back on track. But I too believe there's some way we've got to wean off the 5th cent that has been trying to prop up and keep our rates lower and make those self-sustaining, those enterprise funds. I have to be honest, to both representatives, I appreciate you advocating for our fellow constituents. But I feel that it's quite rich for the chairman of revenue on the House side and another member of the revenue committee to talk about property tax, continue to talk about property tax, and knowing full well what that has done to some of our communities and will continue to do by putting on an additional resolution on the 26th ballot that basically will be acquisition value, along with the other issue of no residential property tax, and putting a 2% sales tax process in beginning. So I find it pretty disingenuous to point fingers at us as the city council, and at the same time stand up there and continue to plot away when we have the tool in place with the long-term homeowner residential property tax that I believe is the best fix, along with the cap that's already been approved. But with that, and I'll be glad to meet with both of you when I get back from Pennsylvania on January 1st. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize. I need to steal a few more moments, but a few things came back to me as I sat here and gathered my thoughts. Mr. Lewis, I believe it was, about streets. sorry, man, I can't believe I forgot about the streets because every one of my colleagues knows how much I love talking about streets. So I would totally agree with you in the sense that they're not in great condition. Our 2019 streets assessment overall average condition was 59 out of 100. Our previous city manager, Carter Napier, liked to joke when he went to school that was not a passing grade. So I would agree with you that deferred maintenance is not exclusive to the water and sewer utilities. It applies to the streets as well. That's why the last 1 cent allocation cycle, the only one I've been a part of so far, I fought really hard to increase that. And thankfully, with the support of staff and my colleagues, we got that from, it was 3.7 million when I got on council, and I believe it's at 5.2-ish, a little over 5 million now. It was roughly a 50% increase. The unfortunate reality is that I don't think that's still enough to maintain their current bad condition. And so certainly as the 1 cent allocation comes up for renewal next year and thinking about how we're going to allocate those funds, I will be fighting really hard to get another significant increase to streets funding. And I'm hoping that because we are making our enterprise funds more self-sustaining, reducing that subsidy, that will allow for us to increase funding in that regard to get us to a place where we're at least maintaining the current conditions. Ideally, I'd love to be improving them over time, but one step at a time, as long as we can maintain and keep them from getting worse, that's really the basic minimum I think we as council need to do. So stay tuned for next spring when we start having that discussion about allocation of the 1 cent revenues, and hopefully you'll be pleased with the direction that we go on that. To Ms. Lean's comments about the 1 cent resolution, as has been the case historically, certainly the last time I was a part of it, we spend many hours talking about those allocations. I don't know, we typically do a survey as well. So that's something that has historically been done beginning of the year. So we'll get those survey results back. We'll talk about them. We'll have those discussions in open forum. And then like always, we'll pass a resolution that will be pretty granular about how we expect to spend those funds. So I would encourage folks to follow that conversation very closely. There was a mention of county residents not getting the free bail fill pass. My guess is because they don't pay city utility bills, and that cost is integrated into that bill. So if you're not paying a city of Casper utility bill, you are not paying for that bail fill pass. So I can understand some frustration, but I do appreciate you guys coming here advocating for the folks that gave you a call. I would welcome them to give me a call. I was hoping for more opportunities to chat with people about this. I got one call from one constituent today, and we had a really great conversation. They were going to show up and express some concerns, but after we had a really good 15-minute conversation, they felt really good and informed about it, and they decided they didn't need to come tonight. So if any of those folks that you talked to would like more information and maybe don't have the time to watch our work session from last week, give them my number, and I'd be happy to chat with them. And then I think the last thing was there was a chat about the bridge funding, the pedestrian bridge over by North Papler. Miss Lean, I had seen you made some comments about that under a Cowboy State Daily article a couple months back, and I offered you a response, and I didn't see one. So unfortunately, we couldn't continue the conversation there. But I do want to remind you and other folks that I'm happy to talk about either bridge. But in regards to the North Platte pedestrian bridge, that is a roughly $6 million project, $2.2 million in utility infrastructure from water and sewer enterprise funds, and $3.7 million in a Wyoming outdoor rec grant. So again, no general fund revenues. That's a common misconception. It's got nothing to do with general fund revenues and the property tax reductions we've experienced as a city. The reason we can still move forward on those projects is because, again, it's funded through the enterprise funds and through the Wyoming outdoor rec grant. The cost savings, I would say, it took me a while to realize what you might have been talking about there, and that's because when the state put out for bid the reconstruction of the street traffic bridge there at Poplar, we were originally including utilities on that, and the bid came back. We had a budget of $2 million, and the bid came back at $4 million. And so the bid came back twice what we had budgeted for putting utilities on the traffic bridge. And so I personally am very thankful that city staff had the creativity and the wherewithal to find this Wyoming outdoor rec grant and come up with this opportunity for us to still get those utilities across the river. That those utilities need to be rebuilt and they need to cross the river. And the state is not moving forward with the traffic bridge at this time, but they will at some point in the future. And it doesn't make any sense to me to put new utilities on a end of life traffic bridge that's going to eventually be replaced. And so I'm hoping the bids come back at what we have budgeted again. I don't know what the timeline is to put those bids out, but certainly if we get another $4 million bid for utilities, we're going to have to pivot. But that, I think, is what you were talking about, the cost savings there. It's necessary utility upgrades that need to occur. And this was the most pragmatic and, in my opinion, financially responsible way to make that happen. So I just want to remind folks, while they might see projects going around town that think, you know, oh, why are we raising utility rates while we're building bridges? That doesn't make any sense. And I understand the optics of that are tough to grapple with, but I would encourage folks to give me a call because, again, the city financing, city budgeting is a very complicated process, and I'm happy to walk people through that. But yeah, again, in regards to those bridges, none of those projects have any sort of general fund impact. They're all 1 cent revenues or Wyoming Outdoor Rec grants, CAP grants, private donations, or other funding sources. So I think that's all I got. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I did want to comment about the gentleman, Mr. Lewis, I believe, about the streets. I believe we still have available, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the city does have an app that everybody's got an app, you know, but it does have an app where you can report the specific potholes. And so, and I've done it myself at both in my neighborhood and other locations. But if you notice I would just encourage you to, if you want to use the app or somehow notify the city of a specific location, they're very responsive. I use the app, like I said, both near my home, and I've had constituents contact me about potholes in their neighborhood, and they don't have the app, and I, driven by and got a picture and sent it in. And the city is pretty responsive to those reports. So if there's a route, for example, that you travel quite frequently, that you are, concerned about potholes, if you wouldn't mind taking a minute to, and I think, I don't know if they can call the main number for it's on the city website. I think you can download the app and onto your phone or a pad, or you can, if you need assistance with that, I'm sure you could call the main number for the city, and they'd find you someone who could direct you through, kind of walk you through downloading that and accessing that. Okay, it's pretty easy to use though. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm.
And I just have just a brief comment. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Appreciate it. Always appreciate the public comment to be longer, and I appreciate everybody that comes up and shares. I know I've talked with both Ms. Lean and Mr. Locke when we have gone toe to toe about the property taxes, and I've always told them that it's much better for us to have dialogue rather than not, because without dialogue, and it comes up with misunderstanding. The city budget is complex, and I've mentioned this before to both of them. It is a complex process, and we rely heavily on our staff that know it intricately and know it inside and out. They are extraordinarily professional and good at what they do. And I agree with Councilor Gamroth. What they presented to us, I would also say the same thing, is go back and watch our work session if you have not seen it. It's very detailed. It's got a lot of information. And I think that is an important context. Secondly, yes, have your constituents reach out to us to talk to us. Have them come and see us. I invite you guys to sit down with us and have coffee. We'll pour over it with you. We'll do all those things. But you have to reach out to us if you are concerned. This is a first step. This is the first step, coming to this public meeting, and you're able to express that to us. Then reach out to us. You have my number. Text me. Be like, Pacheco, this is not right. Let's meet. I haven't heard from you. Okay? So my point is dialogue. Then come and talk to us. And then we will be a part of that solution to talk about it. And that's really as simple as that gets. We may disagree ideologically on a lot of stuff, but we can still respect each other. Okay? And so please reach out to us. We'll pour over the numbers. We'll show you all the things that we do, all the graphs. Our staff that is incredibly intelligent and professional and experts in what they do. We trust them. I've been on this for 12 years and I've seen it. I stand behind our staff. I stand behind what they do. Just reach out to us if you want to see those numbers. Then we'll open up the books. It's public record. We'll show you everything and why we made the decision we did. Go watch the work session and then come back to us. Please read the consent agenda titles.
Establish January 6, 2026 as the public hearing date for consideration of the transfer of ownership for retail liquor license number 34, Dorsey Van Galloway, doing business as Galloway's Irish Pub, located at 2800 CY Avenue, to Galloway's LLC, doing business as Galloway's Irish Pub, located at 2800 CY Avenue. The transfer of ownership interest of retail liquor license number 22, Wyoming Spirits Incorporated, doing business as Second Street Liquor and Wine, located at 939 East Second Street, Suites 300, 400, and 500. And the transfer of ownership interest of retail liquor license number 15, Wyoming Liquor LLC, doing business as Wyoming Discount Liquor, located at 4330 East Second Street. And establishing February 17th, 2026 as the public hearing date for consideration of liquor license renewals for the licensing period of April 1st, 2026 through March 21st, 2027.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to, by minute action, establish the public hearing dates just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Bond. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Councilor Sweeney, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of an ordinance approving a code text amendment pertaining to Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. Mr. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Thank you, Mayor. I do. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Liz Becker to Zulima Lopez dated November 26, 2025. Exhibit number 2, affidavit of publication from the Casper Star Tribune dated December 11th, 2025.
Thank you. Madam City Manager, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So state statute requires that a majority of all planning and zoning commissioners, not just those present at a meeting, must vote in favor to approve decisions. However, a recent code review identified that the Casper Municipal Code currently states that only a majority of commissioners present in a meeting is needed for an affirmative vote. So this proposed the municipal code to align with state law. In practice, I want to make clear the commission has already been following state law by requiring at least 4 votes for any decision, regardless of attendance at a meeting. But again, this text amendment is just to make sure that we're aligned with state statute.
Thank you. Council will now listen to public comment. Public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers are allowed. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the ordinance to please approach the lectern. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor? Okay, at this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to this ordinance to please approach the lectern. Anybody in opposition? There being no one to speak for or against the ordinance, I now declare the public hearing closed. Please read the ordinance by title only.
Approving a municipal code text amendment to section 17.12.210 pertaining to planning and zoning commission meetings.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve on first reading the ordinance just read. Moved by Councilor Bond, seconded by Councilor Haskins. Discussion by the council. Okay, any amendments? Please cast your vote. Councilor Sweeney, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of the transfer of retail liquor license number 18 to 30H7 Hospitality LLC. Mr. City Attorney, do you have exhibits?
Thank you, Mayor. I do. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Fleur Tremel to Zulima Lopez dated December 5th, 2025. Exhibit number 2, affidavit of website publication dated December 16th, 2025. Exhibit number 3, affidavit of publication from the Casper Star Tribune dated December 9th, 2025. Exhibit number 4, liquor license application filed with the city clerk on November 14th, 2025.
Thank you. Madam City Manager, do you have a report?
Thank you, Mayor. The city of Casper has received an application to transfer retail liquor license number 18 for Wyoming's Rib and Chop House located at 256 South Center Street to 308H7, which I believe is pronounced 307, Hospitality located at the same address. If approved, the transfer will become effective January 1st, 2026. However, the license will be non-operational initially. The new owner intends to complete some building upgrades, after which they will determine their next steps. Per state statute, the applicant has up to a year to make the license operational.
Thank you. Council will now listen to public comments. Public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers will be allowed. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the transfer of retail liquor license number 18 to please approach the lectern. Anybody wish to speak in favor? This time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the transfer of retail liquor license number 18 to please approach the lectern. Anybody in opposition? There being no one to speak for or against the retail or the transfer of retail liquor license number 18, I now declare the public hearing closed. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the application for the transfer of retail liquor license number 18, Casper Chop House LLC, doing business as Wyoming's Rib and Chop House located at 256 South Center Street, to 30H7 Hospitality LLC, doing business as 30H7 Hospitality located at 256 South Center. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Jensen. Any discussion by the council? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote. Oh, excuse me, Councilor Sweeney, how do you vote?
I would vote aye.
Thank you. Please record the vote. Council will now listen to consent resolutions. Please read the consent resolutions by title only.
8A1, authorizing an underground right-of-way easement with Rocky Mountain Power as part of the Marion Kreiner Pool and Park Improvements Project. 8A2, authorizing an agreement with JTL Group Incorporated, doing business as Knife River for the Bryan Evansville Road Improvements Project. 8A3, authorizing a contract for professional services with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated for engineering study and design services for the North Platte River Restoration North Casper Knife River Reach Project. 8A4, authorizing a procurement of goods agreement with Water Technology Group for submersible pumps for use at the River West Sewage Lift Station. 8A5, authorizing a contract for professional services with Civil Engineering Professionals Incorporated for the FY26 Priority Water Main Replacements Project. 8A6, approving a contract for professional services between the City of Casper, Wyoming and Converge One Incorporated for upgrades to the existing 911 phone system. 8A7, authorizing a contract for professional services with Advanced Casper for assistance with economic, strategic planning and grant funding. 8A8, adopting and setting forth rates for wholesale water service and retail water service for the City of Casper, Wyoming and rescinding 23-286. 8A9, adopting and setting forth rates for sewer service for the City of Casper, Wyoming and rescinding 23-286. 8A10, establishing rates and for residential and commercial solid waste collection, recycling, and disposal at the Casper Regional Solid Waste Facility and rescinding resolution number 23-287. And 8A11, creating a policy on considering the issuance of industrial development revenue bonds.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda items just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Bond. Madam City Manager, do you have any comments on any of the items?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Any abstentions and nay votes from the council? Please cast your vote. Councilor Sweeney,
I vote aye.
please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the consent minute action titles.
Nine A1, authorizing the reappointment of Susan Burke to the Civil Service Commission for a 3-year term effective January 1st, 2026 and expiring December 31st, 2028. 9A2, authorizing the purchase of 14 new police placement vehicles from Griner Motors, Casper, Wyoming, for use by the Casper Police Department. 9A3, authorizing the purchase of 1 new compact tracked loader for use by the Water Distribution Division of the Public Services Department. 9A4, authorizing the purchase of 1 new 1-ton pickup with utility body for use in the Water Distribution Division of the Public Services Department. 9A5, authorizing the purchase of 1 new heavy-duty cab and chassis 4x4 truck for use by the Water Distribution Division of the Public Services Department. 9A6, authorizing the purchase of 1 new half-ton 4x4 pickup truck with 6.5-foot bed for use by the Water Distribution Division of the Public Services Department. 9A7, authorizing the purchase of 1 new 48-foot box walking floor trailer for use by the Solid Waste Division of the Public Services Department. 9A8, authorizing the purchase of 1 new utility all-terrain vehicle for use by the Solid Waste Division of the Public Services Department. 9A9, authorizing the purchase of 1 new utility all-terrain vehicle for use by the Casper Police Department. 9A10, authorizing the purchase of 1 new full-size cargo van for use by the Metro Division of the Casper Police Department. And 9A11, authorizing the reappointment of Councilor Amber Pollock as a board member of the Central Wyoming Regional Water System Joint Powers Board with a term expiring on December 31st, 2028.
Thank you. The chair to entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action agenda items just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Haskins. Any abstentions or nay votes? Please cast your vote. Councilor Sweeney, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
At this time, we ask councilors to bring forward any relevant concerns
Mayor,
or
I
items
need,
of interest.
Mayor, I
Yes.
need to record the vote.
I'm sorry. Oh, please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. I was going too fast. Yeah. At this time, we ask councilors to bring forward relevant concerns or items of interest. Councilor Jensen, I'll start with you tonight. Councilor Bond. Councilor Larson.
I guess the first thing was HDR Engineering came and presented us with a water resource management plan. They kind of go over the, the whole purpose of the project is to assess water supply and management, as well as water rights and resources evaluations, that kind of thing. Overall, current water supply is meeting current demand conditions for the city of Casper, but likely need to look at future water rights options in the future. The board was also presented with an audit report for 2025 for the fiscal year of 2025. Nothing there, all is good, no deficiencies or concerns. And then we went on to approve a handful of contracts and agreements. More notably, the board approved a loan for $20 million for through the State Land Investment Board for primary disinfection, the primary disinfection improvement project, which I believe is start next year sometime. So, and that was it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Councilor Haskins. Councilor Sweeney, do you have anything tonight?
Just a couple of things. Last Thursday, thank you, Mayor. Last Thursday, I attended an open house down at the Science Zone where Spectrum donated, I believe it was 10,000 to the Science Zone, and met the new director and so it was a really nice turnout. Friday afternoon, I attended an open house at the new Arbor House, which would provide some transitional housing for men. And I believe it's over 18, with also some supportive services around counseling and the like. I thought it was a unique opportunity, and I think a great thing for the city of Casper. Saturday was Reese Across America. I want to thank the city of Casper for providing the cardboard receptacles for recycling of the boxes that the wreaths come in, and really appreciate the landfill for providing that for us. A huge turnout as usual, and great messages, in particular from Senator Barrasso. Gave a great message on Saturday. So with that, thank you, Mayor, and appreciate the ability to attend virtually. And I also attended regional water, and Matt did a much better job than I could on covering those comments. It was the consultants. It was a very interesting study, and very detailed, and really, really good. And I'm sure more to come on the precious resource of water. So, thank you, Mayor. And one last question that hopefully somebody can answer is, for the executive session, do I just stay on this link, or will a new link be sent to me?
They'll get a hold of you and get you set up. So just wait for, I think it'll be Teams call.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Councilor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor. Had a Downtown Development Authority Board meeting last Wednesday. We discussed the See Something, Say Something poster that Melissa, the executive director, and other members have put together. This is to act as a resource guide for folks downtown, encouraging them to call PD for crimes and non-emergencies, to call 211 for resources for folks in need, and to report incidents to the DDA for tracking and informational purposes. We have a new website that's live, still fine-tuning it, but would encourage folks to check it out. It's much better than the one that DDA used to have. I was informed there that the Shining a Light on Safety funding has been paused at the federal level, and that was, I don't know if anyone can confirm that for me or not, but that was a report that was given there. As a reminder, that was to enhance lighting mostly along the rail trail, and so it doesn't sound like the funding was stripped, but it sounds like it's in limbo at the moment. So, I guess I would love some follow-up on the current status of that. I was also told that the city has a graffiti abatement program through community development, and I knew that was something that was historically a feature, but I guess I didn't know that was still going. So I don't know if that's something, even just a quick work session item. I would love to get some more information about that. Sounds realized. Would just love to learn more about it.
Is that an official request?
Yes, please.
Is everybody okay with putting something like that on
No rush, but
on the work session about graffiti abatement?
let Janine get her legs under her and stuff, but
Yep.
cool.
Looks
Thank you. We discussed the results of the recent mill levy election. The turnout was very low, unfortunately, but there was unanimous approval for the next 4 years, so the DDA's funding is secured at least through then. I attended a Americans for Prosperity luncheon last Friday, and we heard from the founder of Prometheus Hyperscale, Trenton Thornock, regarding the proposed data center on the eastern side of the county. I went in there with a very skeptical eye. As somebody that works in technology, I think this AI bubble is going to pop, and just waiting for it to happen. So I did go in with a high degree of skepticism, but Trenton was very incredibly informative, very intelligent dude, spoke to all the concerns I would have, which is power usage. Their intent is to be completely off the grid and be using gas-driven turbines, gas getting from Black Hills, so not a part of the Rocky Mountain grid. Water usage, it's supposed to be a self-contained cooling system that doesn't require water. My understanding is that they have piping that goes under the earth to cool the water, and then that's kind of how the feedback system works, is you drive the water underground to cool off and then bring it back up. So yeah, very interesting technologies that they plan on utilizing. The gas-driven turbines, I know that's been a huge issue for the Grok data centers in Tennessee, creating a lot of local pollution. And so that was my question to him. And he talked about the differences in gas turbines and how inefficient the ones are in Tennessee. They weren't intended for that purpose, which, I can get into more detail. But yeah, so I was really impressed with Trenton and, all the information he provided. Diligence, I think, is still required, just like the case with Radiant. But I think people should scrutinize the details of the project, but also be open-minded and willing to learn more about stuff that they probably know very little about. Because like Radiant, they're using new innovative technologies, kind of out on the cutting edge of the work being done in this industry. So hopefully there's more public opportunities to engage with those folks, and I would encourage folks to do that if those present themselves. We got a Metro Sit Rep report from Jody up at the animal shelter, and we've been holding off on those meetings just until we get some more meaningful progress and updates regarding the animal shelter. But she does give out those regular updates. So if you didn't look at it, they have a kennel technician in the final phase of a background check, and if passed, they'll finally be fully staffed, which I don't think has happened my whole tenure on council. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we get there. They're currently doing vaccine clinics every Wednesday this month from 1 to 5. So if you need to get your pets vaccinated, I would encourage you to check out those opportunities. Otherwise, they're hoping to do them every third Wednesday after the first of the year. It's contingent on a partnership with Petco Love, which I believe provides the kind of financial and resource backing of it. And then lastly, looking at our sales tax reports, it looks like, at least the way I read it, is we are 3.7% behind in projected sales tax. A bit unfortunate, but we're still early in the fiscal year, so it's something I'm going to be watching pretty closely. And we also had a report in our information packet that we're up to 9.3 million in 6 cent collected, so that's I believe just over halfway. So despite the the small lag in sales tax, looks like the 6 cent sales tax collections are relatively on pace with what our initial projections were. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Vice Mayor.
Nothing.
Just a couple different things. First, I want to recognize Zulima Lopez, who did a wonderful job as the interim city manager. Her term this is her last meeting with us as our interim city manager, and Janine will be starting tomorrow, our new city manager. So we'll be welcoming her tomorrow. But I just wanted to highlight our gratitude from the city council for your hard work. Steering the ship, keeping it steady. We are in debt to you for your hard work that you have done for us. And so I just wanted to recognize you and our gratitude that we have for you. Thursday will be the city employee holiday breakfast at 6 a.m. So I think, I don't know how many councilors are planning on coming to that. I know I'll be there. So several of us will be there to help serve the amazing staff that we do have. And I know I mentioned that a second ago, but I want to reiterate the incredible work that our staff does for us and for this community. We are blessed to have their expertise. We are blessed that they are able to come to us with the information. We are indebted to them as well. This is one of the finest staffs that I've had the honor to work with. From the very top to the very bottom. And so it goes without saying they are a tremendous staff. And so I have a great deal of respect for them. So thank you. Next meeting of the City Council will be a work session to be held at 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, December 30th, and a regular council meeting to be held at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, January 6th. A notice of an executive session to take place at this date and during this meeting was given. We have matters to discuss related to attorney-client privilege and land and potential litigation. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn into an executive session, and at the conclusion of the executive session to reconvene this regular meeting solely for the purposes of adjourning this regular meeting.
So moved.
Moved by the vice mayor, seconded by Councilor Bond. There are a majority of councilors present, and a motion to adjourn to an executive session has been moved and seconded. This motion requires 2/3 majority of the council present. Please cast your vote. Councilor Sweeney, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Please record the vote.
With all counselors voting aye, the motion passes.
Greater than 2/3 majority of the council present voted in favor of the motion.